Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Creation show, where we look at how choice creates, and different possibilities for creating a life and a living that can actually work for you, whatever that is. I'm your host, Rebecca Boswell, and today I am joined by Jeneth Blackert. Jeneth is a blogger. Her blog, Real Raw You, has been churning out all kinds of content for the last 10 years. You have been, oh my goodness, you have been in books with people like Steven Covey and also Jack Canfield, yeah. Right? And of course, Donald Trump. So who knew that you would have an opportunity to be working on a book together with our current president?
You also, yes, it's a pretty old book.
You also,
like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of experience under your belt and a lot to share with us today. You also have a couple books of your own, and I know you have one. Falling in Stilettos, yep. And then you also have the 7 Dragons. That's more having to do with business. And I know you're really keen on the entrepreneurial approach and entrepreneurial alignment. That's one of your specialties. So without further ado, our topic today is the art of whisper mapping. And I'm really excited to speak to you today about this new Quest program that you have coming up. And I have a feeling we're going to learn all about whisper mapping.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. And I'm honored to be here because, oh my goodness, like this is my baby that has been birthed and rebirthed and is now growing up into this ginormous productivity system for entrepreneurs. And I'm really excited to bring it to life again for this season.
I'm really excited to talk with you about this today, Jeneth, because I know that you have been helping women in so many different ways over the last several years. Starting out with your studies in neuroscience, nutritional neuroscience at Virginia Tech, and then going on this whole journey yourself, getting to be more in touch with your body, of course, becoming more of a conscious being. I know that's one of your pursuits personally, and then also how you professionally weave that into everything that you do, from your yoga practice to your nutritional, your all the lifestyle things that you're helping people with nutritionally, and then also just in terms of how to bring it all together. Mm-hmm. So this whisper mapping, how does this fit into how you've been helping women over the last 10 years?
Yeah, well, I was incredibly ADD and incredibly all over the place. I mean, it was just like notes here and check boxes here and checklists. And as I grew, and for you guys that don't know, I have, over the span of my entrepreneurship, I've gone from going and having $100,000 in the nest egg, taking that to negative $50,000, getting trapped against the bathroom wall by my husband.
And no more.
And that was when he did give me this no more ticket. You have to start making money. And as soon as I applied all of the teachings that I had been learning, I really did skyrocket. And in 2011, we made 1.2 million. And that then created a little bit of crisis in my own world because I didn't have systems. I wasn't productive. I was ADD, overwhelmed. Everything was everywhere. Yeah. And luckily I had a team that managed me at the time. And I decided to just blow it all up one day because I was really, really tired of living this life that wasn't my life, that wasn't authentic to my path and my purpose. So with that being said, I then almost recreated everything.
So it sounds like you were, you had this alignment in your life, and then you were finding these brilliant ways to bring that to the women that you were working with. And then suddenly, as you're putting it into a business model for yourself to run it and to get it out into the world, that suddenly that alignment was starting to shake a little bit. So what I hear you saying is all of a sudden there was this desire to have what was working in your personal and professional life one-to-one and with small groups to also then translate into your own business. So you had this aha moment, and so tell me what happened from there.
Well, it wasn't an aha. It was basically like, holy shit.
Like an oomph.
Yeah. It was most like I hit the boulder in the road. And I think at the time I had so much contraction around the fear of really fully growing this that I just put on the brakes. Yeah. And it was the brake putting on that really made me bubble up with awareness that this has got to be easier. Yeah. You know, yes, we made the money, but no, was it ease, flow, and beauty? No. Right. And so I then took a step back and said, I can't go on. I'm stressed out. I'm constantly fighting myself. I'm constantly fighting other people, and it's not even worth it. I'd rather not have the money and have a beautiful life with less money and more ease. Mm-hmm. So I went off seeking that, like purposely seeking, how can I grow and still have this motivation and be moved with this hustle while, I'm not actually forcing myself to hustle. Yeah. So, and that's when enter access consciousness. Okay. And so it's like me growing this empire collides with me really becoming consciously aware. So I started to look at, okay, so what it does move us as individuals, like naturally move us so that we are excited and exuberant and ready to play. Yeah. So today I wanted to talk about some of the superpowers that are a part of Quest, which is different than whisper mapping. And I can talk about what whisper mapping is in just a minute. So. Okay, cool. So, well, let's start with that then. So these superpowers, I know. Well, let me get the sheet real quick. I know we all have superpowers. The question is, are we aware of the superpowers that we have? And if we are aware of them, are we actually using them? And are we using them for or against ourselves? So this is kind of how I look at it, which made it quite easier than just kind of doing all these esoteric, like, if you ask yourself, what superpowers are mine, right? Yeah. You're like, well, I know that I've got them, but what I have is I made this little chart. It looks like this, and then I'll take it away. And basically what it is these 4 areas of your life, especially when you look at the next project you're creating or the next business that you're creating. There are these places, like if things are too easy for you, and you do it all the time, but it doesn't excite you, well, then you fall into this like area of boredom. And when entrepreneurs do boredom, they, they just don't do. Right. And that's exactly what was going on in my business. Was whenever I would get into this has to be done, but I don't like to do it. It's too easy and it's not fun for me. Yeah. And I would fall in that category of boredom. I would be like, no, I'm not doing that. Great for business. Right? Not. So when you're like, when you know your tasks as usual and the tasks that make you successful, and a part of Quest is these 21-day sprints that I've put together. There's also a topic that we can talk about next. Okay, cool. This might take a little bit, but so within these 21-day sprints that I was focusing on, I was also finding that I knew what actual tasks had to go with it, had to be there for me to actually grow. Mm-hmm. So when the task fell into this low fun and too easy category, it was like, no. So I had to get somebody to do it for me, or I had to entertain myself with some other fun music or dance parties every 10 minutes in my living room, something that would wake it up. Like sometimes I'd be like watching Netflix during it.
Yeah.
But as long as it was focused, it allowed it to happen with greater ease.
Cool.
So then there's the other icky category for us entrepreneurs that we have to play with is this area which it can be like frustrating, fear, and giving up. And I call it learning category because like even if you're in fear and you're trapped in fear, there are still tools that you can learn to move that fear and change that energy to this essence and this beauty of excitement. And you can play with, you know, coming into that new energy instead of just being in like, I'm afraid I'm going to run. Right. But this is a category that we want to run from. So there's learning in fear, frustration, and giving up. Now, usually this happens when it's a higher skill level, low fun. So if you're learning how to do Facebook ads, right? If you're learning
email marketing,
trying to get the right pictures for Instagram, right? That will be an area that you fall into this category. And there's many different tools that you can change the energy with, for one. And then there's many different tools where you can recruit help. You can recruit partnerships. You can recruit better photographers, right? You can play with people in ways that can really make it delightful for them and you because they're guided to do that. And then there's this playful area, where it's low skill, like you already know it, but it's true play. And that's what I call the force of nature. And those are things that let's see. It's like, so I know how to do an online campaign at this point. Like I've been through the learning, I've scooted down to the force of nature here, right? And so now I just say, okay, team, here's the checklist. And then we'll just, go through and do the tasks as always. And it becomes like almost just shows up naturally in my world. And then, it's just like, all right, check, that's done. Okay, that was cool. But then here's the thrill ride. It's when it's a higher skill level and you're doing something strategic and it's also fun. And, I think that people like Elon Musk, really fall in love with this creation that is incredibly challenging to build, bring to market, but they're in such this energetic thrill ride that they can't help but, really lush in it. Now, you also know that he's got people that are helping him learn, helping him with the too easy category and helping him with his force of nature, because my force of nature is things that I actually don't really show up and do. Sometimes it could be, but like the launch and the example I gave you. So when we can utilize and hone in on what our activities actually are, then we can decide, all right, well, where in the quadrant is this? Okay. And we can move forth with creating with more ease. Like we can, learn strategies to get us out of the boring categories so that we actually do create. Because if we stay in that boring category, checking email, if you stay in checking email and you're checking email while listening to this, like you're trying to use this as a distraction, in which case you might not be present anyway. When you're on Facebook and just commenting, trying to recruit more followers, like there's room and space for that with a purpose. But when there's no big, delicious why behind it, like, why are you trying to get more followers? And you don't actually know, that's when it becomes a strategic breakdown in entrepreneurial alignment.
Okay, cool. Okay. So this entrepreneurial alignment is really getting the energy of you in alignment with the energy of your
creating.
business and what you're creating.
Right.
So this awesome metric here, that is just one piece of one of your 21-day sprints.
No, that's a little bit different though.
Okay.
But
I was going to say,
this is a tool. Like we have like 50 different tools within our toolbox. Like we've got tools to teach you how to make a better decision about a new idea or project within your business. Like we've got all these different little tools so that you can have a business that's aligned with ease and flow and do it very productively.
Yeah. Cool.
So within Quest, so one of the tools within this is whisper mapping.
Okay.
Whisper mapping really started from Megan Silito. She came to me at an event and said, I am noticing that you create very differently and very differently online as well. And I want, give me the secret. So she hired me as a coach and I worked with her. And while I was working with her, I was finding that there were certain things that I had natural inclinations just because I've been in business a while that I could help her with.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, do you realize that like everything that seems hard and technical for me, do you realize that you really just kind of, check box it, snap your fingers? And it's because I did the learning, and I did it in a place of I'm going to force and fight this and figure this out.
Yes.
And I did, but there are easier ways to be in the learning category.
So exactly.
Than with force and fight and figuring it out.
So you basically have distilled the wisdom so that you can actually assist people going through this program where they don't have to do it with that force and I don't want to and I'm going to make myself, but actually find more ease, find more flow, find more fun in the process, and also together with other people, right? Yeah. So you're not just doing it on your own, you're in a group.
Yeah. Well, cool. So the new Quest program is both a digital online in groups like this. Like, I'm here and you're on a Zoom with me and we will do it that way. And you'll learn the tools of it. But what's the deliciousness of it all is really like, when people come and show me where they're stuck, show me where they're stopped, where they have,
So tell me, is that what the whisper map? I mean, I've
learned
about this.
That's why I was like, and we're getting there.
and it's like, because my brain, I'm like, what is whisper mapping? And it's like, all these whispers that sort of are floating around. And so is this where we pull it all together to even know what it is we want to create in the world?
I actually have the compass in here somewhere. Let's see if I can find it real quick for you.
And while she's looking for that, I will also put a link to the episode that we did with Megan last season or the season before. So you can go back and watch that and see what she's creating now since she's been creating a lot in the world.
An event coming up in September and might be after this comes out, not sure, but speaking at her event, speaking really about some of these same things so that, these are different tools. Like there's so many great tools out there, but these are ones that, when you look at it with a different eye, then you can really get back into your own flow. What some of the client stories that I've had have been quite incredible because let me tell you a little bit about the 21-day sprints, and then we'll go into whisper mapping real quick. I promise.
We're teasing you.
Some people will come to me and be like, I want to grow an online business. I've put up a digital offer and nothing is happening. And I'm fried already. Like the learning curve to just even get up the free gift, it has been totally exhausting.
Yeah.
And so I will start with just some simple questions and ask them about the movement behind their business. Ask them about what they want to create in the world with it. And when they can come back to the energetics of it, then things and these whispers just come through. Within I'm going to give you a free link to the Quest playbook. Within the playbook, it starts with these 5 questions, and you use a timer. You just set the timer for 5 minutes, and you just go, and you just start going, and you just write down everything that comes to mind when you have one of these questions. So that's kind of one of the tools within the playbook system. You're going to get that one for free, so you'll get clarity. But what I'm saying is, when a client comes and they aren't like really being the vision or the movement even that they want to create in the world, when they aren't being that and they aren't energetically aligned with that, and then they're trying to do this tiny little, let me give them a free gift to start with. That's when you can bring them back to the bigger mission within it. That's when things start to change, because then their energy starts to change and things do come. And it is very, very magical when that happens. And I know that you've seen that when people, aren't like, well, I'll do this, but I don't know if anybody's going to come.
Whether they're going to come or not.
Right? Yeah. So with that being said, always be with, what am I creating here in the world, and be the energy of that. And if you're not, or you feel like, oh, I'm too little or small for that, well, then that's where some of the tools of access consciousness come in, where we can play with the, what's really going on here? How old were you when you first felt, this lack or this worthlessness? And
does it even belong to you?
Well, right. What, there's a whole line of processing you can do around all of that. Yeah. And that is all brought in with Quest. And, in the live group, we move our bodies, right? I am a yoga, I started out as a yoga teacher for quite some years. So, I do feel that some movements don't start unless you move. Yeah. And talking about moving, that's what the whisper map is all about.
Just real quick, one more, just real quick. I wanted to point out here again, we're always talking about choice creates. Yeah. That's in every intro. I say choice creates. And, I just really want to point out that exactly what you just said there really is where we can see so clearly. So if I choose to believe that I'm small, or if I choose to be the energy of small in the world, every choice I make is actually creating more of that smallness. If I am focused on being sad or depressed, or I've decided, that I am a certain way, and I make all of my choices to prove that that's true, or to be in alignment with that, I'm going to keep creating more and more of that. Mm-hmm. So, if you're feeling a certain way, or you're being a certain way today, the cool part to me, the real magic is that it really is just a choice. And sometimes it can take making those choices, those different choices, several times to create the new pathway. And if we can commit to ourselves and to whatever it is that we know is our true energy, or in true alignment with what we are, what we be, what we'd like to create, that it truly is possible. We just have to make that choice, and that next choice, and that next choice. And so now, as we're choosing and creating that alignment, we can use this whisper mapping. Right. So tell us about the whisper mapping.
That's the whole thing. It is. She just gave it away. So basically, it goes you can look at it. It's like question, whisper, and then choice, right? And then it's like choice, whisper, or let's see, it goes
other way. I know, backwards.
Sorry, it's backwards. There you go. And so you can kind of, and this is also, we're giving this away for free in the Quest playbook. So you get it now.
So put down your pencils. You're going to get it.
Right. And within the playbook, not only do you get the playbook system. It's called Quest Playbook, but you also get like 4 videos with me that explain things. You know, one of the videos about the superpowers. There's a ton of information. I've been putting this together for the last 3.5 years. This is a big system with little learning curve. You know, it's simple things like the quadrant that I showed you earlier, like the superpower quadrant. That is, you know, a simple tool. And once you learn it, and then when things aren't going right or you're frustrated, where you're like, okay, well, that makes sense because I'm in the learning quadrant. Of course I'd be frustrated. And then you also in Quest get other tools to go through. So with whisper mapping, when you get stuck, then you know that you're like, sometimes people don't make choices. Like they will just grab ideas. They'll go possibility. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. Even within a business, like I could do this project, or I could go this way about it, or I could do, you know, these interviews I could do tons of interviews on podcasts, like all these different ways to grow a list. Like there's infinite, literally infinite possibilities to grow a list through online marketing, through even real world marketing, like all these different ideas. And once you get a strategy at hand, and the strategy is more than, hey, I think I'll put up an opt-in box and give away a free gift. Like that used to work like in 2000.
Did it?
Like 18 years ago, that used to work very good. People like, free gift, oh boy.
Oh no. Now they're like, I don't want another email.
They're like, no, I don't, screw your free gift.
Yeah.
However, this free gift that you're going to get called the Quest Playbook is actually,
when it's something that you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that,
too.
that's when I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to give my email because I'd like to have that information. I'd like to play with that. So and I know that's something that you do all the time. You're constantly giving away content and all kinds of information. And I know that's why probably people keep coming back. So I think I may pay attention too.
Well, this is truly a creative flow productivity system, right? It's, there's lots of productivity systems out there, but is there one to keep you in energetic alignment with what you're creating? I mean, there's lots of ways to do productivity, and I've studied them and read many books.
And you've even written in a book with Steven Covey. I don't think I mentioned Steven Covey. So I mean, if ever there was a time management, if ever there was a time management guru from 18 years ago, however long ago, that would be it. And so this, you're saying, is sort of the next generation of productivity and workflow, because now it's also, it's not just about how to muscle yourself into doing the right things and what you're supposed to do, but it's actually about taking and harnessing your energy, your gifts, your capacities, and then using that to actually create the business that you desire. That is actually really just an extension of you in the world.
Well, in most of the cases are, because I'm working with lots of coaches, lots of facilitators. There are people that have widget businesses. I have somebody who owns brings in macadamia oil by the barrels, and we're teaching her how to sell that online, and she uses the system. And it's funny because the worth for her comes in making the deals. So, it seems to sneak in for all of us everywhere. Yeah. And when we've got a set of tools to really work through it, then magic really happens.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, so the program itself is Quest. Okay. You use the whisper mapping to sort of get a sense of, okay, where's our starting point? What is it that you actually want to bring into the world?
That's the underlying foundation to how this works.
Okay.
Within the format of Quest is these 21-day sprints. It actually is bigger than that. It's like really come with your vision.
Yeah.
Right. Then what's my next 21-day sprints? And sometimes when you bring them the whispers of that, like whispers for, 8 21-day sprints come out too. Yeah. Like, so you work from like big high level vision to, all right, now I know what I want in the next 3 years. I know what I want in the next year. Okay, so in this year, what comes through that would make this happen? So if you want a list of $100,000, what whispers come through as ideas to grow that list? Like you could do podcasting, you could do Instagram, you could do Twitter, you could do what I do, telesummits. And, you know, there'd be all these different strategies. And during 21 days, you could try one of them. Like say, for 21 days, I'm going to reach out to possible podcasts that I want to be on. And, you know, I'm going to try to get on blah, blah, blah amount. Or each week I'm going to reach out to 25 podcasts. And then, you know, by the end of the month, I'd like to get on this many.
So you have all these whispers, but instead of trying to do something with each one of them all at once, you're saying, okay, which whispers the loudest?
Which,
and then really.
And it goes through a system of light and heavy. Go figure. So when you use a 5-minute timer, and I have everyone get like a little cube like this. You can not just do 5, but and you literally just go, all right, for 5 minutes, what are the possible ideas that, you know, it would take for me to grow this list? Like that's a small piece of the big vision, right? And then you just set up the challenge for yourself. And as you set up the challenge, then there are different checkpoints. And when you're doing it in a group like Quest, it's a lot easier.
So how long is the Quest program? If somebody gets started with it, how long are they actually in the program?
So it starts October 1st and it runs about 8 weeks, and we're doing it every year. Like it's an annual thing. So, you know, it's, you learn most of the tools by the end of the 6 weeks if you do the digital version. Okay. And then within that 8-week period, there's also a live event, and, that's a possibility too. Like you can come to a live event or not.
And I've heard rumors about your live events. I've heard that they're quite fun.
Because they happen on the beach, and they happen with a lot of bodies doing some playful yoga and some dancing and some delicious food. And it's quite the little thing that we have.
Cool.
And usually people, so when you're in Quest, like you're always in Quest. So then you just the next year have to pay for the live event, right? So it's returning fee is a lot less. And you also get private sessions with me if you get a VIP pass, which you can kind of map out through the next year.
So you don't have to use them in the 8-week period. So if you set some 21-day sprints that occur after the 8-week cycle, then you can do the sessions to make sure that you're on, you know, that you're still following the path, that you're using the tools, if you're getting maybe tripped up on some part of it. Right.
And then people within that also get an invitation to my Visioneering program, which is my high level program. And within that, they can get individual private sessions, and individual private sessions are discounted if you're in Quest too, because I don't have to teach you all this stuff if you're just a private client, right?
That's awesome.
So there's lots of different ways to play.
Cool. Yeah. So, and if you're trying to figure out how you can get to Jeneth, again, we will have all of the links. You know, of course, there's the realrawyou.com that you can go check out. She has all kinds of really cool lifestyle information there, and you can also find the programs that she's running. And then you also have a special website though for Quest.
Yeah. Quest.jeneth.com.
Okay, and that will be in the link as well.
There you go.
And then there's also a link for the playbook specifically, right?
Yeah, and that's quest.jeneth.com/playbook.
Okay, cool. And so all of those links.
There it is.
All of those links will be in there. Yep. So Jeneth, what else? Is there anything else that you'd like to share in terms of your journey, in terms of choices that you've made along the way, in terms of how Quest was born, or just any more of an invitation? The things that you just know that if everybody knew, they'd want to come play.
I think one of the biggest things is that I worked on as being an entrepreneur, and an entrepreneurial journey is great for personal development. But I think when you work on yourself, that's gold. You know, I can't say that enough. And I feel that when I focused on, you know, high performance, when I focused on really mastering myself, that's been the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that gold with all of us and everybody that's going to be in your upcoming Quest group, and this year and in years to come. I wonder who all is going to be playing at the beach with you this year.
Right.
And so when do you do the live event?
It's the last week of October.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of October.
Yep.
That'll be beautiful. So that's in Texas.
Yep.
So, maybe not so great end of October if you're in New York, but or Maine.
Might be nice in Texas, though.
But in Texas, it'll probably be a lot warmer than some other places. Cool. So, so is there anything that we've missed? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about in terms
There's
of?
so much that we
I
can.
know where to dig in and where to leave it.
Yeah. Well, you had a session with me.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of give them the inside scoop?
Yes. Well, so our session, that was wonderful. That was at the beginning of the summer, I think, or towards the end of the spring, and so that was it was a very organic process, really looking at some of my favorite questions. What is it that you would like to create? What is it that you're now creating? And then seeing, okay, where is there a gap? And then what are the things that are obstacles standing in the way of what is and what can be? It was really neat. A lot of awareness showed up for sure. A lot of things that I hadn't recognized as being obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
Which had been easy for me to overlook. And
right.
So I would say that you definitely have a keen eye for spotting when there are bumps in the road, and being able to look at, okay, so do you want to keep ignoring that, or would you like to go over it? Would what's the next choice? And being able to ask a lot of questions. That's
right.
one thing that I noticed is that you ask a lot of questions that allow for the space of me or whichever client to get a sense of what's actually there. When we take a moment to slow down and to pause and to really let the dust settle a little bit so you can really see what's there. And it came out sort of in all these different pieces, and then being able to see, okay, well, what is actually being said? What is the larger whisper that's being said that all of these smaller ones are pointing to? Yeah. Right.
Really cultivating your message.
Yeah.
That is a part of this. And I will probably do a free something for people on this on that topic specifically.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny, because people will say their message over and over and over again. And like, if you hear it, then you're like, okay, that's her thing. Yeah. And when you are doing it, when you're in your business, you don't realize it.
Yeah.
That's why I needed Megan to really show me about this whole, she's like, so how is this kind of, you say a word like whispering or an energy like wisping through you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that probably originally came from Access, but I really harnessed it because I was like, it's wisping out.
Yeah. And I mean, that's there. I mean, I've been talking about whispers in my own world since high school. I mean, they're there, it's those little things.
And it's not like an idea, because it's not solidified.
It's a sense
like that.
Of something.
It's a sense of something. And sometimes it makes no sense at all. And that's kind of the awesomeness. Like I have journals where I'll write down like blue and orange and fire. And then like, I'll see like 25 words, and then I'll like look at it, a day later and be like, oh, and we had a course called Firepower, which came from that, like a series of like, these sparks, and it was like, fire flying, and at the time I needed some fire in my belly again. Yeah. Because my fire was burnt out.
Well, and you kind of went on your own quest journey, right? There was that.
This whole thing has been the quest.
Yes.
Because I had to really step back to come back.
Yeah. And what was my joy? I remember that, you know,
Like,
and that's such an amazing, I mean, there was so much power there to be able to say, you know, I'm now choosing to just be and see what that is.
Yeah.
And if I'm truly just being me, what does that look like? And what would I choose from that place?
And it's almost that consciousness comes in and it like comes through you and it goes, this is it. I mean, it's almost that it's not coming from me. It's not like it's not that I have a desire, right?
Yeah.
It's almost that I've been just following consciousness and consciousness
being aware.
Like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Go.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
Play.
So people can start today by getting your playbook for free, right? They just need to follow the link. And then what else would they?
They'll get an invitation to the quest.
Okay.
And if you already know you want it, just up and buy it. You just gave them the link.
Yeah,
right?
cool. That's right.
Yeah.
And then
it's open.
And then as they're waiting for the program to start, you know, what are some of the
things that you get immediately?
So they can just start right
so
there.
You get some of the archives from Visioneering, which is my upper level program, so you can get a taste of that. I'm not sure if my original whisper mapping is in there or not, but you know, that's you know, you could get easy access to that through the Create Party.
Cool.
Yeah, but you initially get the Visioneering. There's like 2 years in there, probably 20 classes where
by tonight you could have already changed your life significantly.
Right, it was just facilitation. Right, it's just real deep facilitation with some high level entrepreneurs. Yeah,
cool. And your Create Party that's going on now. So where can people find those interviews?
Yeah, Real Raw You Create Party.
Okay, and that's easy.
Yeah, that's with most of my mentors. Some of them were clients and then I hired them. She's one of them. You know, so, you know, it's a kind of a really unique party because it's not like, oh, I'm going to interview all the experts. It's like instead, I'm going to interview all my mentors and some of my clients that have worked with me and really, really have been able to harness this work for themselves.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, awesome, Jeneth. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you all for joining us and playing with us. Now you have a whole another set of tools that you can use right out of the gates. As always, we're so grateful to have you. Without you, the show would just be us talking and it wouldn't go out into the world and you wouldn't take what works for you and create the life, the living that you're here to create and all the magic that we know is possible.
And comment below.
Yes, please comment below. Like the YouTube channel. We love it when you subscribe, like the Facebook page. That way you'll know what's going on. And we're in season 4. So every Friday, a new show, a new guest. And we'd love to see you here. So thank you again, Jeneth, for coming. And thank you all for coming. And I wonder what we'll discover next. Have a great week.